Essex Libraries forever. Essex Libraries forever.
I'm from Harlow, and I'm here alongside others and others that can't be here to ensure that we don't lose our libraries. We need each and every one of them, and we will do so increasingly. People will need access to all the things that libraries have to offer. So no, we don't want Essex County Council to alter our provision in any way, and we are here to make that stand absolutely clear.
Straight up Barclay Road,
take left on this way.
Not up this way. This path will go inside
and just that way.
And then just cross the road.
Perfect. What we'll do, we'll shut off traffic up there for you. Alright.
Where are you from today?
We are from Colchester.
What's the situation at Colchester today?
The situation in Colchester today that we have two libraries, Stanway and Prettygate, down enriched.
Why the book?
That we don't know if we do keep them or if the county council is going to keep them in the future. So.
Which one do they want to chop?
Stanway and Prettygate, none of them are sure. The only one that we know is the main one in town, and it's very difficult for people that live in Stanway or Prettygate to get into town. If they can't walk that well, the only way to park is to go up the steps to get into the main library. The main library is getting smaller and smaller anyway, less and less books, and we really need the libraries. And like Stanway is a little community, Prettygate is a little community, so it's the spirit of people together that's very important that libraries can bring. So that is, and Josephine, she is the young people's voice for libraries, so she's been...
Will you miss the library?
I don't know what I'd do with our libraries. It would just be so different. It wouldn't be the same at all.
Really?
Yeah.
So which one do you go to?
I go to the main one in Colchester a lot.
Is it in the town centre?
Yes, it is.
Right.
I personally don't like ebooks because I want to have pages that I can actually flip instead of just swiping, looking, just staring at a screen instead of an actual book. And also when you get a headache and your eyes just hurt when you look at a screen too long. And it's just not the same.
Save our libraries! 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 Save our libraries!
She did during the week, shouldn't they?
Bad news is, thank you all for coming.
Good news.
The bad news, that's the good news. The bad news is we don't have a PA. The one that we thought we had isn't working. So all of us who will be speaking, and there won't be that many of us, are going to have to shout like what I'm doing. My name's Andrew Coburn. I've been involved with Soul since the beginning. If this was a proper meeting, we would present apologies from Andy Abbott, who is, as I'm sure you know, one of the stalwarts of Soul, but who has eaten something that disagreed with him and can't be here today. I'm not going to do anything more than a few introductions, but I'm just going to bust for a minute until the first of our proper speakers is ready. So, yes, as you can see, County Hall is closed, but nonetheless, we're here because this is where the decisions will be made, are being made, have been made, and these are the people we need to influence. And one of our speakers is going to come back to that later on. Ready? Yep. Right, so without further ado, I will introduce Liz Miles, who's going to say something a bit deeper than what I just said.
This week's March for Libraries has been historic and remarkable week for public libraries in Essex. In spite of these difficult times, library users from across the county have come together to say no to Essex County Council strategy, no to the strategy to cast off our local libraries into the hands of volunteers and other groups. This is closure by stealth, no matter how enthusiastic and kind volunteers are, and their assistance in public libraries is important. They cannot be expected to run professional essentials libraries. So-called community or volunteer run libraries are unsustainable, unaccountable, and cannot offer full statutory library services. So-called community libraries are not libraries. If any group takes over one of our libraries, the council will remove all funds, all books, remove computers, remove professional staff, and sell off library buildings. How can volunteers guarantee a lasting professional service? They can't. Evidence proves that when volunteers are being put in charge, things collapse. No matter how willing they are, it's a sad fact. Volunteers have been put in charge of the majority of libraries in Sheffield. Result, a 63% decrease in book loans. Result, a 50% increase in lost stock. Result, at least 2 libraries contacted by the Charity Commission with concerns about safeguarding issues, where references for volunteers working with children were not obtained. More evidence. In Doncaster, community library takeovers have resulted in catastrophic drops in book loans. In one library, loans went down from 17,000 to just 1,200. Essex County Council strategy sees community libraries as key to our library's future. So they see unsustainability, unaccountability, and failure as key. We say no to this strategy. Hands off our libraries!
You're doing the next introduction.
Yep. And now I'd like to introduce Reggie, who's going to give us a young person's view of why libraries are so essential.
We need libraries. We need libraries. Libraries is what we can't generate without libraries. Libraries keep me and all of us going, and we can't let them take that away from us. They cannot steal our books. Libraries give us inspiration. They give us power and memories and lots of lovely thoughts. Libraries are what hold us together, and they cannot and they will not take that away from us. Hands off my books!
Right, next up are Pia and Josephine.
Hello, my name is Josephine and I'm 12 years old. I'm so happy to see so many of you library lovers here. I'm here today because I feel that libraries are so important and we need them. Books and education go hand in hand. Libraries are not only for borrowing books. Did you know that 12% of all 11 to 18-year-olds have no internet at home? How did they manage to get their schoolwork done during lockdown if they didn't have access to the computers at the libraries? This week, I have been walking many miles together with so many other library supporters to show Essex County Council that we, the young people, want to keep our libraries open. All of them. We do not want them to be run by volunteers only, because if we do, we will lose them. And I can't imagine a world without libraries. I know that I'm young, but I do have a voice and I'm using it, and so should you. Keep our libraries open. Do you hear us, Essex County Council? Keep our libraries open. Save our libraries. Are you with me?
This book, everyone knows about it. It's about adventure, isn't it? It's a family going out on an adventure, looking for something scary. We are the family, we are the library family, we are the library lovers, and we all have something to get from a library. Isn't that amazing? Yes, reading a book, touching the pages, is not like reading on a screen. It's a special thing because you will read it differently, you will get it in, you use a different part of your brain. Why we choose this book, we've been a little working group to organise this march. So we've been walking for 8 days from Manning Tree Library. This book, being the baton, been handed over every library we've been to, and often not just one library in one day. There've been plenty. So Michael Rosen, he was actually one of the first supporters for Save Our Library Essex, and he's still supporting us, even if he's been poorly. He used to be a children's laureate. He loves books. He really gets it out there, how the importance of children's literature, even grown-up literature, so important. So that's why this book been walking all this way. And another thing that's so important with the books, schools, there's some teachers here. Did you know that 1 in 8 schools don't have a library? They need the local library. So Essex County Council should keep all the libraries open because it's such a small cost, whatever, and it says, keep them open. So I'm going to hand over the book to Manning Tree so he can go back to the museum, no, to the library.
and the museum.
And the museum.
And many other things, and social hub as Manning Tree Library is.
And can I add too that it's been read so many times during this walk to so many people, and it's amazing how well preserved it is. That is a book, not a computer that gets destroyed in a few years' time.
We started the walk at Manning Tree. I think we had the longest leg, I'm not sure. Manning Tree Library to Brightlingsea was 14 miles, I think.
Did have the longest leg.
Five of us made it after 14 started off, and it was quite a good effort. It was lovely to see Liz welcome us when we got to Brightlingsea. So even though it was small of us, it was a very enjoyable day out. The thing about libraries, Manning Tree Library in particular, if you might not understand the history of that, I mean, most libraries, I guess, are more than just book lending. They're social hubs. There's kids reading clubs there, there's coffee mornings, there's people just reading the newspapers, people using the IT. the idea that just book lending is the only criteria is missing the point dramatically, and I think Essex County Council have used that book lending as the only measure as far as I can understand. And the other thing about volunteers, Manningtree Libraries, about 6 volunteers working there already. There's about 1 or 2 professionals and 6 volunteers, so we're already relying on a massive number of volunteers. We need a little bit of a professional steer to make it work, and I agree with the statements made earlier that a fully volunteer is likely to fail. So we just think we need to keep fighting Essex County Council to really to expose the hypocrisy really of their argument. And I'd also like to say before I finish here that I'm really here in sort of instead of Holly Turner, who and her and a few others in Manningtree have done a great job leading the campaign. I'm here because Holly was on holiday and has been also being a campaigning mind, is also very heavily involved in the nurses campaign, which I guess a lot of us would also support. But so I'm here as her just about acceptable substitute, I hope. Okay, so let's long live Manningtree Library.
The march from in North and Mid Essex. There was also due to be one from South Essex, at least in the last couple of days, Howlbridge, Castle Point. And I can see that they are represented here.
Greetings from Harlow. We have been informed that the County Council, Essex County Council, wish to refurbish our central library. We have no further details. We don't know how or when they intend to do this. This doesn't come with any guarantee for our satellite libraries, which of course provide a most invaluable service. I think for the Central Library they're planning all sorts of link-ups, but we don't know. So it's a sort of a sweetener, I think. But anyway, we stand right behind everybody in Essex and take our hats off to those who've marched so valiantly through the weather on our behalf. Thank you.
Right, finally, the winding up speech from Jean Quinn.
Thank you. I noticed Reggie was introduced as a young person's perspective, so I suppose I've been introduced as a middle-aged person's perspective. Well, we won't go there, right. I'd like to thank some people. Some of the people are here, some aren't. We'd like to thank librarians who have been closed, yes? We'd like to thank librarians because they've done a sterling job in opening libraries, and now we want them all to stay open, and when they stay open we want them with librarians, qualified librarians, and we want them well stocked and an investment in stock. You go into a library and you see it's half empty, and we know that if you invest in libraries, more people are going to use them. I'd also want to thank the people that have been on the march. I'm going to go in order. I'm going to start with Manningtree, a force to be reckoned with, Manningtree. I've been told that in one of their rallies 500 people turned up. That is truly amazing. Probably 499, but we won't argue about that. The march went on, and I want to mention the West Mersey 5, who thank you, had some lateral thinking, and instead of marching from West Mersey down to Colchester down that horrible main road, took the ferry across the Colne to Wivenhoe and then walked on the Wivenhoe Trail. I want to mention in person Liz, who did a remarkable job organising that part of the march. She's not here today, but one of the person who suffered the most with blisters was Nadine, who still carried on 12 miles with a blister that was the size of her insole, apparently. I would like to thank Ant and Reggie. Are they here? Yeah. Because at Prettygate Library they turned up in force, and Ant, I don't know if you know, he does. He produces your daily poetry project, and he turned up at Prettygate Library, and of course his poem was about a library. Nicky Giovanni, if you want to look it up, and it's on the Art Centre page. Yes, well worth looking at. We had some awful weather at one point, And the two Vikings, dressed in blue and yellow, the Swedish colours, Pia and Josephine, I was in awe of them. The rain was coming down, the wind was blowing, it was horrible and cold, and off they went really cheerfully with their faces smiling, so thank you to you. They were met by a fellow Viking, Hannah in Tiptree, and again, she's not here, but she did a remarkable job organising a welcome at Tiptree. And when we set off from Tiptree, there were a couple of old ladies there. I say old ladies, I shouldn't make it like that, but they did have mobility issues, but they were determined to help, and they said, we'll walk with you to the Tiptree boundary, which was lovely of them. Thank you. I want to mention James Abbott, who organised the Whittam bit, and the Whittam group who turned up, and also a delightful chappie called Roger, who couldn't walk but welcomed the walkers and invited them to afternoon tea in his back garden. Isn't that lovely? That was smashing. Then I'm getting near the end. Finally, Martin, I don't know if Martin's here, I haven't seen him, but he did a wonderful job organising the southern route today, which was Wakering and Hullbridge and Hockley that all went to Rochford. So all in all, a wonderful effort by us all. Thank you. Now, we were taking the book and we were passing the message of the importance of libraries, and when we were on the Coggeshall to Silver End bit, we met some dog walkers who were very, very keen to help us, and one of the ladies said, what can we do to help? So we had some ideas, and I said, well, the most important thing you can do to help, and we can spread this word, is, and I know there's going to be changes in local government, but next time you're at the ballot box and you need to vote for a party that is going to keep libraries open. Now, I've been asked to end up with a chant. I've decided to swap it and make it a song. You will join in, you will enjoy it. You're supposed to be 2 metres apart, so if we can get a little bit more distant, I'm going to start off. It's only got 3 verses. You will be able to cotton on really, really quickly. And those of you who've been in Colchester will already know this song. It's Essex Libraries Forever. Essex Libraries forever, Essex Libraries forever, Essex Libraries forever, for libraries make us strong. Second verse. Free books for all our children, free books for all our children, free books for all our children, for libraries make us strong. First verse again. Essex Libraries forever, Essex Libraries forever, Essex Libraries forever, for libraries make us strong. Thank you.